Evening, everybody, and welcome to the Township Board's business meeting. We just got out of a closed session. We're going to start our meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Additions, deletions. Does anyone have an addition or deletion besides myself?
Well, I could read yours.
All right. Not seeing any others. I do have an addition, and it's an addition to for an agreement, approval of a settlement agreement between Grosse Township and Toebe Construction.
Oh, support?
Thank you. This was some of our closed session discussion. Any comments or questions on it?
I'll be voting no on this. I think it should go to a new board.
That would be at the time of the actual.
I can vote against putting it on the agenda, though, can I?
Yes.
Well, yeah,
That's
that's what.
That's why I'm prefacing why
Okay.
I'm voting against it.
Okay, very good. Any other comments or questions? See none. All in favor of adding the approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Two, okay. So we have nay, two. All right, that will be added. It'll be action item number 4. All right. Now I'd like a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Good. Next, we have public comment on agenda items. Do we have any public that wants to comment on agenda items? I can't see behind the...
Nope, there's nobody there.
Nobody there?
Margaret?
We have... Thanks, Carl.
Oh, yep, the Fire Commission resignation. So,
Margaret.
oh, yep, Margaret Shelton, Bellevue Road.
And you're making me cold with that sweater that you got on. I don't
didn't know
want to
it
get
was
to
gonna
winter
I didn't know
before
it was
we
gonna
have
be cozy in here. Normally
Go-
it's a little chilly in here, and it's
Go
cold
ahead,
outside.
Margaret.
So this is regarding the Fire Commission resignation. I just want to say that I really appreciate the fact that Mr. Kelsey, I believe, he's resigning, and I think we all know what a great job he's done and participated for such a long time. And the only thing in addition to that I wanted to point out is I thought there was an addition that was going to be on here. I thought somebody was going to be appointed to the Fire Commission. It looks like that was removed from the agenda. So I'm hoping that we can get that resolved pretty quickly, because I think there is somebody that's ready and waiting to be part of that commission. And I just, for the Fire Commission or Police Commission, those public safety commissions, I think it's important that we make sure that if we have people that are ready to participate and, you know, their approvals are ready to go, that we get them right on that board, that commission.
Well,
So, thank you.
thank you. And it's just a matter of following procedure. Any other comments? No, you said nobody's
Nobody
there.
else.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. David?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda 24-057, which consists of minutes of the October 14th, 2024 regular meeting, check registers dated through October 18th, 2024, ETE tree planting grant, and the fire commission resignation.
Support.
Thank you, Kyle. Any comments or questions regarding the consent agenda? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve consent agenda 24-057, which consists of the minutes of the October 14th, 2024 regular meeting, the check register dated through October 18th, 2024, the DTE tree planting grant, and a fire commission resignation. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We have approved our consent agenda.
Just for clarification, I asked Mike to turn off the air so that the fan stops rattling.
Okay, thank you.
Makes it cozier.
And he's done that.
Yep.
Good. Moving on to our action items. First action item, and I'm just going to call Ross up to the podium ahead of time. We have a motion to approve a Class C redevelopment liquor license under MCL 436.1521A 1B for Jen's Book Boutique LLC located at 8166 Macomb Street, Grosse, Michigan.
Yep. Good evening, everyone. I'm so
second.
sorry.
Yeah, the board's just learning. They're a new board. They're just learning. They have to support the action items.
Support.
Okay, very good. So I'm just going to let you take care of this. This is something new that we've come across and are going to hopefully use in the future also.
Yep. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. We have a unique business moving on to Macomb Street here. It'll be the Literary Hideaway, owned by the Lemerans, who are here with their attorney today. It's going to be a cafe / bookstore / cocktail, or not cocktail lounge, but they'll have spirits served there as well. They gave me a presentation that I'll just go over very briefly, kind of describing exactly what it is. So the mission of the Literary Hideaway is to create a unique and immersive literary experience for customers, offering a curated selection of books, beverages, and merchandise that inspire and delight. They strive to create a warm and inviting atmosphere where book enthusiasts come together, relax, engage in meaningful conversations, and discover new literary treasures. They'll be selling new books for all ages, literature-inspired items like tote bags, bookmarks, candles, and more. We'll host and lead book club groups, host children's story hour and activities, author visits and workshops, offer simple, unique food items, coffee, tea, and a small selection of wine and beer for patrons to enjoy. The positive effects on our community includes both full and part-time jobs, support to a literary community with books and book clubs. Children's story time gives parents of young children an opportunity to connect with each other. Charming and cozy gathering space for community members to collaborate, work, or relax, and build the Macomb Street business profile, because we do not have anything like this, and I don't think there's really anything in the downriver area quite like this. So it's going to bring a unique atmosphere to Macomb Street. So if you have any questions, I can try to answer them, and if not, then I will get the attorney.
Oh, no.
Joe, did you have a?
Yeah, I just have
Go
one.
ahead.
I know we have the paperwork, Ross, but just for the people who are listening, can you give, the address may help, but where is it located exactly so that people get it?
Yep, it's
So
in
they
the
can-
former Ohana House, or Rapunzel's Tower. It's been vacant for about 2 years, so it's another vacant building that's being occupied on Macomb Street, which we're really excited about.
So 2 east of Park Lane.
Right, it may be easier, it's right next to the Coney, Island Coney.
Right next to Island
The
Coney.
Coney and that corner house on
Yep.
Park Lane. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, just so everybody knows.
Yep.
Yep. Just a couple of things I'd like to add. We discussed this at the DDA at length, and the DDA was absolutely, 100% behind it. and it is unique, certainly to Grosse. It's something that I think is Grosse type.
Yep.
I think it works. I think this is a good thing for us and for our Macomb business district. Also, the question did come up, so I want to address it as to liability. The township, even though they're sponsoring this, has no liability in this, so we don't have to worry about that. It's all on the.
Yep.
So
It basically acts as your typical liquor license. However, it can't be moved outside of the location that it's at right now. So,
right.
Same sort of deal. It just has to stay on Macomb Street. So,
go ahead.
Question. Right now, this is going to be a beer and wine license, a Class C license.
That just
With
it can be.
with or without the ability to convert it to a Class A license or Class B.
I don't know if the attorney would like to speak to that.
It,
We have
come
Chris
on.
Towers
I
here.
mean, are we pre-approving a full-on liquor license?
Yes, that is, so this is a Class C license. The distinction, I think you might be looking at, a tavern license is the same type of license, but a tavern license only allows the licensee to sell beer and wine. We are applying for a Class C license, which allows us to sell beer, wine, and spirits by the glass on the premises. So I believe the concept as it stands right now is going to be very focused on beer and wine. Very few cocktails sold, but the Class C license does allow the sale of spirits on the premises.
And there, if I understand it correctly, there could be situations, a special event or something where you might want to go to that, and this would allow them to do it.
Correct.
Is that-
Yes, that's
I
correct.
mean, I think if you look at a lot of like Corktown in Detroit, you're seeing a lot of like very specialty cocktail type bars show up. So I'm not opposed to the liquor license, right? I don't suspect they're going to be like reading Pride and Prejudice and drinking shots of whiskey, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we see your drink container today, so,
It's just water, everyone.
I do have a question though, because I know on Macomb Street now, we have an entertainment district for special events. No?
No,
Not anymore?
not,
Well, it wasn't approved.
we never did. Are
there
you
were
talking about the
times-
social?
The social.
No, we never followed.
We never
through on
approved.
that.
Yeah, it actually came up at our last
Approved it.
DDA
Okay.
meeting.
Good segue.
Yeah, great segue.
Yeah.
We're looking at. It seems like there's a lot of interest in bringing this back up, but that would take a lot of surveying of Macomb Street for especially residents in the single family district.
Well, and what brought on my question is if they were only allowed to serve on their premises, could they participate in a social district?
Yes.
For special events?
Correct.
If it came up?
Yep.
And then, I mean, also Macomb Street, we have a hardware store that sells both guns, ammunition, and alcohol. So children's books and cocktails doesn't seem too bad to me. Having probably read some children's books to a certain young man sitting over there a long time ago, it's nice to see you. I think this is a lovely use of that building, and it's a very cozy building. You know, it's a nice setting for that kind of and we don't have a library, so having a bookstore, it gets us one step in the right direction.
We do have a library. It's in Trenton.
We do not have a library on the island from which you do not, let's just say if the bridges were closed, anyway.
Oh, please,
Couldn't
please.
get to the library.
Ross,
Darn.
one more.
Yep.
After we vote on this, say it does go through, if it does go through tonight, obviously, what's the approximate open date, or when do you feel, or when do they feel?
I believe they anticipate to open in spring of 25. So it's just a matter of sending this resolution to the state, along
Right.
with an affidavit from our assessor, basically stating how much we've invested into Macomb Street District, and then their application materials, and then the Liquor Control Commission reviewing that application and making a decision. Although, this is our second time going through this. We went through this with Galindo's. Theirs is still with the state. But the applicants here are working with professionals and
Tipsy Fish, no, that was different.
The Water's Edge, we
was
still had to
different.
go to the liquor board. and it
Well,
took
we all,
forever.
yeah,
Yeah.
but this is different.
My goodness.
Yes.
I
guess I just wanna get
Almost
you
our
correct.
last meeting.
Yeah, I
We're
know.
like the Bickertons up here, so, okay. So it won't, I'm just saying, when we tried to get it for the township and then to the Tipsy Fish, I know it took forever. Or
Right.
what felt like forever.
Yep.
So.
Looking at least spring of
Hopefully they
25.
won't have
Yep.
those kind of issues.
So yeah, we're sending this to the state well ahead of time. They should be, by the time they want to open, they should have their liquor license ready. Yes.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments by the board?
Are you hiring? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, go ahead.
What are your intentions for meeting the investment requirements for that specific facility?
So this is a type of license, the redevelopment license. You need to expend $75,000 in rehabilitation of the site. We are looking at exceeding that, actually. The last cost statement we had was around $150,000, so double the investment required on our end. We have to provide all that documentation to the state when the license is investigated and that kind of thing. But right now, $150,000 is the ballpark.
Good, thank you. Anything else? Not seeing or hearing anymore, we have a motion to approve a Class C redevelopment liquor license under MCL 436.1521A 1B for Jen's Boutique LLC, located at 8166 Macomb Street, Grosse, Michigan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. We have our,
We don't need a roll call for this, for the
Not for this one.
licensing, okay.
all right, David, I believe you're next.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to recommend, make a motion that the board approve a resolution of approval authority for our master plan.
Second.
Support.
What this is, correct me, Ross, if I don't say this right, this is not approval of the master plan. This is approval that the board will retain final yes or no on the master plan once it's approved by the planning commission. And it starts the public comment period, which lasts for 63 days, I believe. So this is an approval of the master plan. It's to maintain or to vote for a resolution for the board to retain a final yes or no after we go through the public comment and final planning commission approval.
Just read it, David.
David,
Yeah.
read the.
Okay. This is too long. Okay. This is the Township of Grosse, Wayne County, Michigan. It's a legislative body resolution on the master plan adoption authority. Whereas Michigan Public Act 33 of 2008, the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, requires a community to adopt a master plan and sets forth the procedures for such plan. And whereas Section 43, Parent 3 of Michigan Public Act 33 of 2008 states the legislative body may assert the right to approve or reject a plan prepared by the Planning Commission in the form of a resolution. And whereas the Township of Grosse Planning Commission is currently developing a master plan, and whereas the Township Board of Trustees believes such plan is an important tool in furthering the development and success of the community, provides a sound basis for zoning and other requirements, and desires the opportunity to be involved in the planning process and development of the document. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township Board of Trustees shall assert its authority to approve or reject the Township of Grosse Master Plan once it is presented to them by the Planning Commission in accordance with plan preparation and adoption procedures set forth in Michigan Public Act 33 of 2008 as amended.
Comments? Questions? Again, it's pretty straightforward. This is not the approval, and it's very important. This is not the approval of the master plan. It's just a resolution of adoption authority. Being a resolution, we'll take a roll call vote. Brian, seeing that David just read it, okay, thank you very much. With that, Kyle.
Aye.
Carl.
Aye.
Uda.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Jameson.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Our resolution is approved. Thank you. Uda, I believe you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I am going to make a motion to accept the terms and conditions relative to the Recreation Department switching over from using Sportsman to Civic Plus registration software beginning in 2025.
Thank you.
Derek and Ash, do you want to give an explanation to the board? Our Assistant Director is here.
Hello. Yeah, to kind of give just like a brief understanding of what it is. I mean, it's basically almost what we have with just Sportsman, but it just makes everything more detailed and easier to use. A lot of it with this system makes it easier for us to use and our citizens and residents. We get a lot of calls of people getting confused on how to get to the website, how to use it, everything like that. Where in this, everything's a lot more detailed. You can filter exactly what you want to find, whether that is family events, specific events relating to Park Lane or Meridian, or anything for our bingo nights, like senior citizens events, stuff like that, to make everything just a lot easier. It also helps with, for us, we just have a lot of technical problems with Sportsman. Not only do we, but other citizens do, trying to register for events. So with this, they also have an easier service for us to contact, and they have a lot, much better job at helping us fix the problem a lot quickly, a lot faster. And there are small perks, like citizens be able to sign up for multiple people at once. With the system that we have now, it's very odd. You have to add certain questions or certain yes or no statements, and you can't add names anywhere, which is difficult for us, especially when we print rosters. Like for the daddy-daughter dance, we have to know the names of people coming in to make sure that we have, especially if it fills up, whether it fills up very quickly, we have to make sure that, everyone has that chance to get in and make sure the right people are coming in. That way, people aren't just walking in and filling up, especially with the fire marshal making sure that we do abide by the capacity rules of every building here. We have to make sure that the right people are coming in. Lastly, it is a lot better with inventory tracking, especially with my first year being here during the pool. A lot of stuff being purchased for snacks, for ice cream, for drinks, for even things that we were selling, no matter what it was. The inventory tracking is going to be a lot easier, which makes it a lot easier for Gail, our administrative assistant, and then I'm sure we'll make it a lot easier for Teresa, making sure that everything that we are purchasing is a lot easier to see, a lot easier to read. Lastly, it really pushes everything online. When even I started here, it was very confusing to see that a lot of things were still going through paper. It would take a lot of time for people would have to come to the department, which some people don't even know where it is. It's very weird to find, to fill out paperwork, take it home, come back, or they would sit there for 10, 15 minutes just to fill it out. Here, everything's moving online. You can find everything you need online, especially with renting out places like Centennial Farms, any of the pavilions. You can print what you need there, and then it'll show you the calendar online to see exactly what is open and what isn't. So if, say, a date for October 16th is the day you're looking for, you can go online to see on the calendar if it's open or not. If it's open, it'll be green. If it's not open, it'll be red. That way you're able to take it, or you'll be able to scroll through the calendar on your own to find the dates that you need.
So it sounds like much more efficient, much more user-friendly.
Yes.
We're bringing the rec
absolutely.
department into the 21st century.
Yes, that we are, yes.
Quick question, Ash,
Yes.
if I could. And I'm not familiar with the sportsman system. Using this system now, people can sign up for a class and pay online as well?
Yep.
Okay.
I just have a quick question,
Yeah.
Ash. So this sounds awesome. I'm for it, right? But I want to make sure that you guys are receiving, like, I don't know, product build-up support, right? Like, you just sitting in an office trying to type everything into a database that has nothing in it is going to be like a massive job, right?
Right.
So are they helping to transition all of, like you mentioned inventory, right? So now we got to get all the inventory input in there. You got to get all the events input. Is it just the rec department doing it by itself, or are they helping to coordinate that transition?
They will definitely help. With the approval of this, first we're actually going to go through a training. They will actually train us for, I think it's actually a couple of months, to make sure that we know like every corner of this website, to make sure we know what we're doing. With transitioning and transferring all the information into this next one, I'm unsure. That is, we've only had probably about maybe a meeting and a half with the company to ask as many questions as possible. So with this would probably be a question going into it to see if that is possible. Which everything we've really asked, they said like yes, everything is up to date, everything's current.
Yeah, I wouldn't shoot it down based on that fact.
Right.
It's just something I would want you to consider while you're talking to them. And if we need to amend this somehow to make sure that you get the kind of support you need to have a seamless transition, bring it back up.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I appreciate it.
All right, other questions or comments?
Oh, thank you for that explanation.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ash.
With that, we have a motion to accept the terms and conditions relative to the Recreation Department switching over from using Sportsman to Civic Plus registration software beginning in 2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You, Rec Department, Ash, you have your registration software. All right. And that brings us to the added action item. We have a motion that the Grosse Township Board hereby approves the attached settlement agreement between Township of Grosse and Toebe Construction, subject to final language approval by Grosse Township's legal counsel.
Second.
Thank you. Some time ago, I don't have the exact date. When did the accident?
I believe it was 2022.
2022, Toebe working on the bridge, hit our water main, the big water main pipe, and now we've been going back and forth with them, actually going to litigation for them to pay for it, and they've come to this settlement agreement. That's what we have before us. Other questions or comments by anyone? I mean, we discussed this and we know pretty much what our feelings are. I'm going to do a roll call vote because I know it's not going to be unanimous. And go ahead. Did you have something else to say?
Yes, no, I do want to say something. I do think the history of this is important. You mentioned Toebe working on the bridge. To be clear, that's Meridian Bridge. So folks understand how much it costs to do that. Wayne County put, I think, $8 million plus into redoing that bridge. So it gives you a sense of the amount of money that it takes to reconstruct something like that and how difficult it is for a township like ours to maintain it. I think it's important for folks to understand what happened. So Toebe, the company that was doing it, broke a water main, and we've been in litigation with them since 2022 to try and recoup that cost. As of now, this is all public record. The cost is over $300,000. $50,000 of that was covered by insurance. Toby's offering $215,000 as a settlement. So we'll be out $40,000 because of this. I think most of the township board will support it. It's probably the wise move to do that. In order for us not to try to recoup more, we'd have to probably go through another year of litigation, go through a trial, spend more of the township's money on it, and that's what would happen. It just, for me, what's difficult about this is Wayne County comes in, fixes a bridge, which I think we're all grateful for, and we're stuck holding the bag, trying to recoup costs for this water main with money we don't have. That's difficult for us to come by. And I feel like we're being bullied by Toby to accept this settlement. I don't like being bullied. And I think as part of why I wish we'd do this with a new board. If a new board decided they didn't want to take this to court, then I think that would be their choice. But for me, I have trouble with this settlement, so that's why I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Yeah, and I will as well, just because I think Toby is very negligent in this. They didn't follow proper procedures. They didn't consult with Miss Stig. They didn't confirm several things. So they broke our water main, and then I feel like any company, like a real American company trying to do a good job, is going to be like, yep, we got it. Sorry, we broke your water main. We'll fix it or we'll pay for it, right? And they didn't do that. Instead, they just lawyered up, and they've been fighting us for
Couple of years.
yeah. So I'm with Kyle on this one, but also, a bird in the hand is worth more than two in the bush, right? Which I think Carl actually said during our closed session earlier. So if we do take it all the way to court, we could just flatly lose. And then receive no compensation, which seems unlikely, but there is still a chance. So,
Go ahead.
Well,
Buddha.
and then on the flip side, having sat on a number of different boards over the years here at the township with litigations going from board to board, I also have the experience of knowing how difficult it is for a new board to come up to speed on litigation. And secondly, I've also been involved indirectly and as a board member here in litigation where we just ended up throwing money after money and never got a satisfactory result and added to a very large tab. So there is a price for wanting to prove our point. And at this point, my opinion is it's not worth that price right now. I think the risk that we would be spending more than the $40,000 that we're trying to get in addition is greater than the result will be. And so I will be supporting this settlement.
Anyone else?
My thoughts on this are that we have a situation where the citizens of Grosse were not at fault. We are looking at picking up the tab for about $4 for every man, woman, and child on the island. But at the same time, there is a responsibility on the part of every member of this board to get the best result that you can. And if we do not resolve this now, we're going to be putting more money into this with what appears to me to be most likely the same result. I believe that the question is there a better way to do it? We're in court. Attorney fees are going to be up in part to the discretion of the judge. You also have a jury that you have to convince. You have to bring in your witnesses, your experts, and pay for that. And in my experience, there is very little likelihood that a court is going to assess the attorney fees unless you can find some kind of gross negligence. And maybe it's there, maybe it's not. But for $40,000, I don't like the idea of doing it. But I also don't like the idea of spending more public treasury, public funds, more tax dollars on what could or could not be. I don't use the term gamble, and I don't also try and quote odds on something like this. I have clients ask me all the time. What I do know is that the $40,000 is unfortunate. I don't like it. I hate it. I'm a taxpayer several times over on this. Everyone in this room is. But at the end of the day, what's the least worst alternative in this litigation? And the least worst alternative to me is to resolve it and move on as opposed to going forward with at least a possibility of not collecting, a very real possibility of not collecting any additional funds by Toebe, and we could spend a heck of a lot more. I'm concerned about the public fund, the public treasury. I don't like it. I share the same sentiments as Kyle and Jameson do. But at the end of the day, what is the least worst scenario? And I cannot justify, in my history, in my analysis, going forward with risking more money to probably get about the same thing where we are right now, maybe slightly improved, but at what cost? And that's why I'm going to support this. I don't like it. I don't eat fried liver and onions. But I can stand when other people do. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. That's where we are right now. But I'm not about to leave this with the next board. We were elected almost 4 years ago to do the job, and we're here for another couple of weeks. So I'm not going to support it with all of my usual vigor, but I am going to support it for the reasons stated.
Thanks, Carl. Anybody else? And I think that's what it comes down to. We all think we shouldn't be paying anything. We were right, they were wrong. However, we do have to look out for the township residents' funds, and we do want to cut our losses. And for the most part, we're getting reimbursed for the cost of the pipe. It's pretty much attorney fees that we're arguing about. So with that, as I said, we're going to take a roll call, a vote on this, since it is obviously not going to be unanimous. And I will start with Joe.
Aye.
Jameson.
Nay.
David.
Aye.
Uda.
Aye.
Carl.
Aye.
Kyle.
Nay.
And I vote yay. So the proposal passes. Thank you very much. And with that, we go into our public comment, 3 minutes, name and address, if you so desire. Oh, no, I didn't say, she's not moving. I didn't know what was
saw your hand
happening.
go up.
I didn't, it was that little, come on up. How are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Michelle Bartlett, 8949 Voight. So we're getting close to the election, and I will sleep a lot better after we know how the millage vote goes on the bridge. And just the more I think about it, the more I think it's going to be so critical to get that to pass. I drove around the one day, and I couldn't believe how many trucks, heavy trucks that I saw on the island, all with different purposes. And I just don't know how you could address this without the toll bridge being upgraded to handle those. There's been some talk about there'll be Wayne County coming in. Wayne County's not coming in. They have 300 bridges or more that they're taking care of. They've already, if they were going to buy that bridge, they would have already bought it. A private buyer, I don't even think would have time, once the millage vote is done, if it got voted down, I don't think a private buyer would have time to do the due diligence to buy that bridge and then work everything out and do the upgrades. Plus, I don't think there's a business case for them to do it. If somebody's going to put 10, 15 million down for a bridge, they're not going to put out the additional cash to upgrade the bridge because they can make a decent living without it. So I guess what I'm saying is the only one that I trust and that I think cares is us, right? Our township, our people. And so I think it's critical to buy the bridge. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, and it's nice to know that you heard our message in the information meetings. Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, Bill, please come up.
I'm Bill Heil. I live on East River Road. Briefly, I want to commend what Mickey has said. I think that it's wise for us to support the bridge for the points that she's made. It was an excellent presentation. I wanted to comment about the decision you made just a few minutes before. I think you made the right choice. When you go to a court, there's judgment. And the judgment in the end means what the people who are making the decision decide. And you like to think of uniformity or fairness or consistency. It's what they agree to say to at that time. $40,000 is not a small sum of money, but when you consider you're going to have to pay attorneys, how many hours and what will it amount to? Will you pay them $20,000? Maybe that's a bargain. But if you're going to pay $20,000 to get 40 back, you're paying $1 to get $1. How big a deal is that when everybody else is throwing your balls around and who's going to catch them, you see? You made a good choice, in my opinion, and I just wanted to get that on the record.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone else?
Judy is coming up.
Hi, Judy. Haven't seen you in a while.
I know, I'm back. I've been busy. Judy Mega, Lafayette Boulevard. I wanted to start off saying thank you to Brian and Uta and the clerk's office, all of the staff for the fantastic job that you guys are doing on early voting. I did it today. It's amazing. It's a wonderful privilege that we finally have in the state, following many other states who have had it for a long time, to be able to take the time that we need and the leisure to vote and to not have to take time off work and so on to do it. So thank you very much. It seems like it's going smoothly and everything's been fantastic. On the bridge issue, which I also am voting yes on, and I encourage everyone else to do the same, I don't see an option that's viable to let a private owner continue to profit off of it and not have to fix it up is the only alternative that I can see. And the township, like Mickey said, is truly the only one that's going to do what we need to do to serve the citizens. A big part of that, I know it's been mentioned before, but thank you to Jamie Churches, our fantastic state representative, to get a bill drafted before committee, through the House, through the Senate, and signed by the governor in 6 weeks is absolutely unheard of. And I know she worked hard on that. I know that the relationships and the education, for lack of a better word, that she's gotten in the 2 years that she's been here were a big part of that, and it played a big part in her being able to get that done for us. And I truly, truly appreciate her efforts on that to allow us to be able to vote as residents on what we want to do. I think a lot of people don't understand that. They miss the part that a township wasn't allowed to own a bridge, and without her changing that law, we wouldn't have been able to do it. So thank you, Jamie Churches, again for that. My last thank you, this is my thank you era tonight, to the board members who are not going to be back. I want to thank you guys. You have done a fantastic job. It has been a pleasure to be, your professionalism, your knowledge, each of you brings something different, and I think the community has benefited off all of it greatly. This is a thankless job. You're never going to make everyone happy. Usually when people are here, they're mad. I, have been one of those people. And I've also been here just to learn and to listen. And I've learned a lot from all of you. And I just want to thank you very much for all the time and effort and dedication that you have given to this job. It is not an easy job, and we are a better community for it. And I don't know if you know or not, but I'm kind of like a raging liberal, and for me to be complimentary to other people, like, no, Grosse, really, we have a really good board. I'm like, no, for real, they do a fantastic job. It's partisanship is outside of it, and we're a better community for it. So thank you all. I hope you enjoy your Monday nights from home when you finally do get the chance to do that, and just know that we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judy.
Oh,
We-
and
we
I would be
appreciate
remiss
that.
if I didn't ask for solar panels. It's been almost a year since I asked for them again on the buildings. And the last thing was in regard to the settlement with if there's anything that could be done for future contracts, perhaps to protect us from that happening again. Perhaps it could be part of the contract that if something like that does happen, they have to cover the attorney fees.
And it's the fact that they are liable for damage, and that's why we're at where we're at. But this
Okay.
is the process they go through.
I see. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else?
Jim, Oh,
Yeah.
Greg's coming up, okay.
Hey, Greg. Good
Jim.
evening.
Greg Karmazin, Easter. I just wanted to follow up on a couple comments about the settlement with Toebe. I too agree that it sounds like a wise decision the board is making to not risk the cost of litigation for relatively little gain. But one thing I just wanted the board to clarify, was this contract on the Meridian Bridge managed by Wayne County, or was it managed by the township?
Wayne County.
Okay, well, I think that's an important thing for the community to understand, that this wasn't the township overseeing this project. It was Wayne County that was overseeing it. And quite frankly, I think to the extent that, there's some culpability here, whether or not it can be legally directed to the county, I mean, I think at least from a standpoint of the public understanding how this happened, this was nothing that the township had under its control. You're really the innocent victims in this situation. Now, the fact that the county is apparently not stepping up to do anything about the fact that it's costing the township money for a project that they managed does trouble me a little bit, although, granted, they is it $8 million that cost? So one could say they did invest $8 million in the community, but nonetheless, it is a little bit troubling that they managed the project. There was a problem with it, substantial problem that had nothing to do with the township. We ended up getting stuck with a bill, and they're apparently taking no responsibility for the project they managed. So,
Tobe's annual revenue is $24 million.
well, that's
Wayne
the
County
thing. They've
is-
done a lot of work. They've done a lot of work on Grosse with the Parkway Bridge and other bridges, and I think if in the interests of good relations, it would have been, I think, better to see them take care of that bill. And maybe, and just a clarification: is there any non-disclosure agreement on this settlement? Will the settlement agreement be made public? And the rationale for why Toebe didn't pay the entire bill be part of that, or part
Well,
of the next.
this is a settlement. They're offering this to settle it. It's
Yeah.
not a matter of,
But obviously-
here's the bill and I'm not paying it. They're saying, we're not really responsible, here's what we'll pay
Okay.
to settle
Well,
it.
that's
I mean, it's
they have
kind of the
they
typical type thing.
They're asserting they have a defense that
Yeah.
leads
Right.
the board to believe that there's at least some room for debating that it's not as clear cut as you would want if you were going to trial, as Trustee Bletcher said, from your experience in litigation, that there's risk. Even if you got a good case, there's always a risk.
First day of civil procedure, which was the first day of the first semester, civil procedure teacher says, never say never, always avoid always.
Yeah. Well,
And what that means, Greg, is there's absolutely no certainty. And again, we've talked about good money chasing bad money. And I agree with you 100%. The oversight is only as good as the individual involved, but that doesn't mean that it's right for us. But at the end of the day, I'm not prepared, and I don't think a majority of the board was prepared, in our experience and our history, to want to put good money after bad. And as you said, minimal return, possibly no return.
yeah, well, and I just would hope, though, that somebody that was managing the project maybe would have said, I'm sorry to the township. But if that didn't happen, well, maybe they'll have another opportunity to do that sometime.
I hope not.
All right.
I hope not.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Bill, you want to come back up? Before you do, is there anybody else that hasn't had a chance yet? Was that Margaret? Yeah, but he can go. All right, since he's up.
Not long ago, we were talking about all of the various pieces of infrastructure around here that need replaced and provided by Wayne County. And the total got to something like $200 million for 10,000 people when they've got this county to take care of. For $40,000, why make somebody mad? I'm not saying that it's in principle it's there, but there's a need for cooperation and acceptance. And I wouldn't put $40,000 in a position to make a sore spot.
Thank you, Bill. Margaret?
So first I want to say thank you, Kyle and Jameson, for, voting no. I also appreciate the other 5 of you voting yes. And I'm not going to armchair quarterback anything, because if you don't see the financials or the data or projections for what we could lose versus what bird in the hand, I got that. What I will say is, I think moving forward, we're going to have to play a very different game with Wayne County, because we cannot continue to be, and this is nothing against any of you, this has to stop at some point. Wayne County cannot continue to squash us. This is what's happening. They manage this project, then they're leaving it with all of you to make all of you look. Luckily, Greg asked the question, who's managing this? That should be very clear to everybody, every resident out there, because otherwise the assumption is, oh, somebody did something wrong. Who did something wrong? Must be the township. No, Wayne County did. And we've got to stop allowing them to do this to us. This wasn't mismanagement on our part. They should be litigating, and they should be having this conversation with Toebe and getting the money that we are due for this mistake. You could call it a mistake. I don't know what else you want to call it. But that's just, I'm pontificating up here, but that's just my point of view. I appreciate what everybody's done in their different philosophies. So, thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. All right.
Jim?
Yeah.
I know it's a little unusual. I got one thing. And
Sure, go ahead,
I
Joe.
have to do it from the podium, believe it or not. You'll
Go ahead,
understand why.
go ahead.
It's not a big deal. It's separated, but I'll explain. First time I've done this. Joe Porcerelli, Oak River, if you need it.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're here as a resident.
Yeah, I just advise to do it this way. We're having a meeting on Wednesday night at the VFW, Jameson, myself, and Kevin Flavin, because most likely, since we ran unopposed, we're probably going to be in. So we're just going to have like a town hall meeting on what we believe and maybe where we want to move forward and what we want to do. But it was advised to me that it was best to do it from the podium as Joe Citizen, and go from there. So I just want to let everybody know. So Wednesday night, 7 p.m. And
This Wednesday?
I'm sorry?
This Wednesday?
Correct, this Wednesday. And any questions, and obviously there's a limited amount of information we can give if the questions are about the bridge. But we're going to just all talk about what we believe, the direction or what we'd like to do when we get in and where we're at with the township. So thanks for your time.
All right, thanks, Joe. With that, we will move to the reports. And I'm assuming we have nothing. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. On this, our penultimate meeting of this 4-year term, time flies when you're kind of having some fun. I have a couple of updates. The Community Recreation Commission hosted a fall festival at Centennial Farm, and of course worked on putting together Hooray for Halloween on Macomb Street. And they were both very successful and delightful events for our community. I think the number of people that came out showed how important such events and how important our recreation department is to our community and to the fabric of our community. And so I wanted to, Ash is here, but I wanted to put a thank you out to our very small but mighty recreation staff, our very small, loud, and proud rec commission. They were active from beginning to end, from setting up to cleaning up. And of course, all the residents and volunteers. And kids and grown-ups and grandparents that participated and made the events the success that they were. So again, it's a part of township government that a lot of people don't always consider, that they sometimes think is a luxury. But when you're trying to build a community and raise conscientious children and teenagers, a rec department is the place where that kind of action happens. Now, we've got an election coming up, in just a few days. And as a former candidate, I can just imagine the nerves, the stress. Unfortunately, you need a physician's prescription for Xanax. But stay strong, candidates. Early voting is well underway. It started on Saturday, and I'll have Brian address that shortly. It's been a knockout success so far, but I don't want to steal his thunder on that. And Clerk Olna O'Connor is just super excited, just shaking the bones there. But we still have voters going to the polls on Election Day. And so nothing has changed there in terms of how you vote at the polls. Precinct 1 continues to vote at Grosse Presbyterian on Horsemill. Precinct 2 is on St. James, is on East River Road at St. James Episcopal Church. And Centennial Farm hosts precinct number 3. If you don't know your precinct, give the clerk's office a call. I think we have a map online too that outlines the precinct lines so that you can decide where you need to go. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. Anybody interested in election results, hold your horses. This is the big election out of every 4-year cycle. The results are not going to be in at 8:05 when the polls close. And we start getting the calls. Do you have any results? Do you have any results? At about 8:04. So hopefully we'll have results by midnight. But these things, we want to make sure that every precinct closes correctly, follows procedure, and that takes time. And that takes patience, and it's not a race. I think accuracy is much more important than speed in this situation. You are a voter and you haven't registered to vote. If you live on the island and have a driver's license with an island address as your main residential address, you can vote on Grosse. You can still register to vote. Within 14 days of an election and on Election Day, individuals can register by visiting their local clerk's office to register in person with proof of residency documentation. So if you have a driver's license or proof of residency that you actually live at the address, then you are entitled to vote on Grosse. You can also check your voter registration status at michigan.gov/vote. We've had people ask about getting sample ballots, and if you can't get down to Township Hall, there is a website, Michigan Voter Information Center. It is mvic.sos, Secretary of State. So it's mvic.sos, State Michigan.us, Public Ballot Index, and you will just type in your location, where you live, your state, county, street address, etc., and you will be able to access a sample of your local ballot. And it's right there for you to look at, and you can print it out and share it with others who are interested in finding out exactly what is on the ballot. With that said, I know there's a lot of other details that Brian wants to share, so I'm going to punt it over to you.
Sure. Yeah, just a few more to add to what you gave us already. Absentee ballots are available now. Ballots can be returned via mail, in person in the clerk's office, in the drop box outside in the circle here at Township Hall, or you can personally put your ballot in the tabulator during any of the 9 days of early voting or on Election Day. Ballots must be returned by 8 p.m. on Election Day. I do suggest at this point, being 1 week out, if you can avoid the mail, if that's possible, to bring it in person in one of the other manners, just to make sure we do get it on time. Early voting has begun. It does run through November 3rd, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. here at Township Hall, and that is every day, 8 to 4 here at Township Hall. Friday, November 1st, we will be, the early absent counting board will be meeting to process and tabulate Precinct 1 ballots starting at 8 a.m., and they will do that until they're finished, no later than 8 p.m. No tapes will be run that day, and the ballots and equipment will be locked down until Election Day, when the absent counting board returns and continues processing the rest of the ballots until all the ballots are run. Friday, November 1st at 5 p.m. this Friday is the deadline to send an absentee ballot to any applicant by first-class mail. So after this Friday at 5 o'clock, we cannot mail a ballot out of our office. Everything will be in person at that point. Clerk's office will be open this Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for anyone who needs to register to vote or to request an absentee ballot. Obviously, early voting will be going on also. Monday, November 4th at 4 p.m. is a deadline to request an absentee ballot at all for this election. And finally, as of 4:30 today, 42% of Grosse voters had voted in the general election already, 2,904 by absentee and 779 early voters. So that's where we're at. I'm all set.
Thank you, Brian. That's amazing. And again, we have a small and mighty staff. It's just Brian, Elena, and we have 2 part-timers, Amy and Tate. And we have Gail coming in to help out when she can. But again, it's a small and mighty staff. We have a lot of, if you want to call them volunteers, who are our poll inspectors. They get paid in pizza and donuts with a small stipend for their effort. But also, democracy in that sense rests on a few small people. My husband used to be going around saying that democracy is a contact sport. For it to succeed, we have to continuously contact each other and stay in touch and make sure that we register our votes, that we give off our voices. And so this is not a partisan plea by any stretch, because what clerk's offices do is eminently nonpartisan. And we work very hard, even though we have our own beliefs and our own ideas, we work very hard to make sure that the process is even-handed, is fair, and meets the smell test, so to speak. But we're all prepared for a very long night, a very big election. This is not our first rodeo. This, I think, will be my, if I can say it, 6th federal election. And I know there have been times where we had just paper ballots and we had to stuff them into tins, and so our technology has come a long way. But Grosse has paper ballots and we have electronic counting. So I feel very confident that our system has the best of both worlds. And our tabulators are not connected to the internet. They do not speak to each other or to any other machines. And so there is a very reliable standard that we aspire to. So I'll be honest with you, that is the one thing I'm really going to miss the most is working with that very fine group. Having come from a country, in Hamburg, Germany, when I was a teenager, my grandmother said you would give away your voice on election day. It was on Sunday. Hamburg had a 99% voter turnout, and it was a multi-million resident city. We're happy when we hit 40, 60, 70%. So it's exciting to see so many people coming out to vote and making a case. I wanted to say one more thing. I have had some people approach me and ask about safety on election, because what they're reading in the newspapers or getting online. And we do have our local police patrolling, driving around the precincts on election day. Again, if there's any single individuals who decide to take matters into their own hands. I'm not saying that we're expecting any violence or any conspiracy of that sort, but we always make sure we protect our precincts and our precinct voters, our precinct workers, and our voters who are going into those precincts. So, and if you see anything, please report it. If you hear anything, please report it. Safety is, a top priority. And with that said, thank you very much. That's my report.
Thank you, Uta. Treasurer's report. Treasurer Nadeau.
And this should be a little quicker than Clerk O'Connor's.
Hey,
Well, no, I'm just stating a
during tax season, you say plenty.
Summer tax payments that have not been made are still can be paid at Township Hall with a 1% per month penalty. Pet tags are now available or have been available at the cashier's office in Township Hall. You need a valid rabies vaccination and $6 for the tag until February 1st, and then it increases to $12. And the next Airport Commerce Park Commission meeting is November 18th, Monday evening at 6 o'clock. And the next DPS Commission meeting is November 12th at 7 o'clock, both here in the boardroom. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustees reports. Kyle?
Yes, thank you. I sit on the Planning Commission, which met on October 16th. We discussed a lot split, R1E zoning, and the master plan, which we voted on tonight. It's very appropriate. I think the master plan process will kind of begin with this outgoing board, and the new board will vote it in. So I think that's a very appropriate way to do a document that's supposed to last for 20 years. I look forward to any input from the new board, or anyone really, as the master plan language gets revealed. It's going to be. I'm very happy with how it's been so far, and the real challenge will be implementing it. So I'll be very, very interested to see how that moves forward. I want to say a little bit more on just Wayne County in general, on the settlement we did. When this first happened, people talk about different ways to hold Wayne County accountable. One of the first people I did call was our commissioner, Joe Palomera, talking to him about this and saying, this is what is up with this? The township has to carry the bill for a Wayne County managed project. What's going on? And Commissioner Palomera, to his credit, was very unhappy. He says, we give Toebe a lot of business. Why are they doing this? And he called the Wayne County Legal Department, who offered us help. Unfortunately, not much help came from that department. And I think looking back on it, I realized I think what was really needed was any time that Toebe came forward to the county asking for some project to be approved or another, if someone was there asking, hey, what's going on with the settlement with Grosse, I think that would have been the pressure point to push Toebe to do a little bit better for us than they did. I think we're a rounding error. They sent a shark at us who I think makes money the longer he drags it out, and $215,000 is a rounding error for Toebe, I feel like. So I think that's how we got squashed on this. It's like Margaret said. I think there's lessons to be learned and ways to push back. Not necessarily here in the township, but I think with the counties. So it's something I'm going to be looking at and pushing on more. So that's my perspective. Appreciate everything that's been said tonight. This is the last. Not last meeting, but a lot of folks will be here, before we learn what happens. So I just want to encourage everyone to get out and vote. And I'm always really impressed with the turnout on Grosse. I think part of what makes this not so much of a partisan place is everyone does vote. I think when you have elections based on turnout and you can get people with anger, that's what leads to a lot of the partisanship. On Grosse, you don't have that. Almost everyone votes. And so you get to people, I think, by being a little bit more reasoned, and I think and understanding where everyone might come from. So I think that's part of what has led the township board to be the way it is right now. So thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Carl.
I have the pleasure of sitting on a commission and a committee with respect to the commission. It's the Grosse Fire Commission. Our next meeting is going to be Thursday, November 14 at 5 p.m. in the Merle Solomon Room. We did not have an October meeting, and that business has been pushed to November. We had travel conflicts as well as illness, and so that business will be taken up in a little over 2 weeks. There was an open house. It was a great success. The fire department thanks everyone for participating and for your support. It's fun to go out there and see the excitement in the voices and eyes of the children, and a lot of adults that are amazed with the equipment that we have and the people that are out there. When you look at a community our size, some 4,500 homes, apartments, residents we'll call them, when you start adding up the number of calls, we're on a pace for over 800 this year, and that's 24/7. Sometimes you'll have 3 or 4 calls at the same time. Doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, you're stretched very thin. So the support of the community really, really is important to that. We have been building the department up. It is currently at approximately 25 people, and they are some of the best trained individuals I've ever seen. When you look at having to make life or death decisions for a stranger with incomplete knowledge, are they having a heart attack? Are they having a stroke? Are they having some kind of a seizure? What do we do? And the assessment has to be very quick, and it has to be done very, very correctly. And the amazing thing is the equipment that the township citizens have voted for gives you an ability to connect with the hospitals instantaneously, so we don't have to wait and meet and confer. That telemetry goes to the hospitals, to the ER, and that's because the citizens of Grosse have been not only expecting it, but willing to pay for it. So again, the open house is the tip of the iceberg. If you see any of the firefighters, hopefully it'll be at a Kroger or at a CVS, and you recognize them, just if you would, say thank you. Just say thank you, because they're out there 24/7. Days like today, not a bad day. Come next week or next month, it's going to be a lot colder and a lot different. I also want to go back to something that person came to the microphone tonight and was indicating a desire to have the replacement for Mr. Kelsey go as quickly as possible. I will indicate we have on file 2 excellent applications from Grosse firefighters that had between them, I'm recalling something like 80 years of service. Both excellent candidates, very good people. I have known both of them for decades. One of them I've known for over 50 years. However, there is a process, and the process is that vacancy be published pursuant to township procedures. It be published. I think they're both excellent candidates. I have no doubt but that one of the 2 of them will ultimately be put on the commission. Just my personal opinion. But at the same time, I think we have an obligation to present that out there for the entire community and for other people. So is it easy to take the shortcut? In this case, cries out for it. It'd be very easy to do. It'd be very easy to simply say, well, we want A or B because they're both very qualified. But next time when we make a direct appointment, are we following the procedure? And it appears to me that the exception may be swallowing the rule, and the procedures are there not just to be followed, but also be followed for purposes of fairness and an even playing field. With that being said, I have a tremendous amount of confidence in whatever the decision will be, because both those candidates are excellent people. Regarding the retirement of Dallas Kelsey, it really is with mixed emotion that I voted for that tonight, and I voted for that, and that was out of respect for Mr. Kelsey and for his wishes and desires. I will note that he has been part of township government for some 5 decades. When you go through the hallway down there that leads to the supervisor's office, they have pictures of all of the past and the present supervisor. And you'll see Dallas, a much younger Dallas, black and white. And he has been just a figure in this community. His family has been so for 100 years. And to see Dallas leaving public life is just a reminder that we all have a fixed period of time, but he has crammed so much in. As Clerk O'Connor noted, he was the clerk at one time. He's been on the fire commission for half a dozen years. He's been all over the township, and when he was supervisor, It seems like so long ago, and it was about 4.5, 5 decades ago, I believe. Dallas has just been a wonderful person. I have never heard Dallas say anything mean about anybody, and I've always seen him with a smile on his face, and he has an ability to make you feel like you're the only person in the room, and he wants to communicate with you. In short, his presence is going to be very missed, very much missed, not only on the Fire Commission, but within the township. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you to Dallas, and I'm hoping that, again, if you see him over at Kroger or CVS or a hardware store, just go up and say thank you, and he'll ignore that and talk about something else, maybe his grandchildren. But he's been a terrific asset for the community. The second group that I belong on is the Greenways Open Space Committee. We have 2 projects going on right now with Meridian Woods, which is north of Rucker and south of, I guess you could best describe it west of East River and east of Meridian and south of Manchester. That area has a concrete bridge that dates back probably 70 or 80 years, and it needs some repair. We have a citizen who's stepped forward, and that citizen has agreed to work on paying for the restoration of that. And that bridge is going to be brought back to excellent condition, but it's not only bringing it back with repairs, it's also preserving it for future use. So the bridge is just south of Manchester, and it crosses that drainage ditch in there, and it's a very generous offer, and we're excited about that. We also, you will have noted that there was a section of the pedestrian bridge that crossed over the canal at Meridian, and the bicycle pedestrian bridge, we were able to save a segment of that. John Keim is going to be cutting a short path from the existing path so that it goes generally south-southwest, so that we can have that as a transition over the ditch there. Right now, we have kids who've been back there busily working on a footbridge that isn't safe for rabbits or raccoons, so we're going to be putting in something different, and John has some plans for that. He's done a terrific job in the past, and we're looking at bringing in more wood chips to make that a very decent path for the future. Also looking at a way to put in some gravel there for a small parking area, 3-4 cars, so you can get out, drive there if you live at different parts of the island, and enjoy the time that you have in one of the larger open spaces we have in the community. There will also be parking on the ferry end of the ferry gauge trail. We looked at that, going to extend the culvert and have parking in there for 2 vehicles so that you can go back in there and use that. Most of the traffic now is through traffic, but we're looking at just making this a better place for outdoors activity. When you look at the master plan, that seems to be one of the big things that people want, is more connection to the outdoors, and truly separates this community. Our next meeting for the Greenways Open Space is going to be tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Merle Solomon Room, this room. The next meeting of the fire department will be on November 14th at 5 p.m. in this room. And one final thought about what people have said various times tonight. Bill, you mentioned what a great community this is and how well the people respond. Michelle, Mickey, you've said the same thing. It is a great community. One of the things that the fire department recently did was to do a collection so that there could be more relief sent down to the victims of Hurricane Helene, particularly in North Carolina and East Tennessee, and the same thing going on for the hurricane relief in Florida. There is a 6th 53-foot semi that is being loaded at IMLAC. And IMLAC Moving and Storage is sending that vehicle down there for relief. I'm pleased to report that the fire department did obtain a number of donations. We were looking for everything from canned non-perishable food to pet food, cleaning agents like Clorox, bleach, as well as Simple Green, and other items that were non-perishable, and those are going to be delivered down there shortly. I have spent a lot of time in East Tennessee, particularly in the area that was really hard hit. It is amazing what's going on, and what's amazing at what the open, generous spirit of the American people is with what they're doing. When you think about one company in one small area of downriver delivering 6 semi-loads of relief, and now we're including clothes because of the oncoming cold season, it's just staggering. So I want to again thank everybody in the community for their contributions. It's been an awesome response, and hopefully we'll never have to do it again. We did it during Katrina, where a motorhome filled and a trailer filled, went down to nowhere, Mississippi, and were treated like conquering heroes because they had been kind of off the grid and off the map. Same thing has been going on here, but I just want to say thank you to everybody in the community for what a tremendous amount of outgrowth and outpouring of support. So thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Carl. Jameson.
All right. Good evening. So the footbridge that Carl mentioned actually was constructed by my son and his buddy using hand tools. So while it may not be ADA compliant, I assure you it is safe to cross. So I've been across. It's all right. The Zoning Board of Appeals did not meet this month, and neither did the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. So I will conclude my report.
Thank you, sir. Joe.
Good evening. I sit on the Police Commission. We meet in this room, 7 o'clock, third Tuesday of the month, and unfortunately the last meeting was canceled due to 2 individuals actually out of the country. I just want to say one thing. To go what Carl was saying, what a great thing that Grosse always steps up. The people here and the fire department has helped out in many years. But there's one gentleman that I want to recognize. He's a Grosse resident, and Ken Imlach is obviously one of the top individuals in Imlach movers. Every single time we have some crisis somewhere in the United States, I know personally that those trucks are going somewhere, because I know Ken. I can't believe how much that he gives to the people that need it. And I just want to say, Ken, thank you again. And Carl, thank you. I know you had a part in starting maybe some of the donations, if you will. But Mr. Imlach, every single time there's something in the United States, Imlach Movers is a part of it. And as I stated, he is a Grosse resident for many years, and I just want to thank Ken. He kind of sits in the back. He doesn't say much. You don't see his face anywhere, but he really does a lot. And that's quite an accomplishment, not only in his business, but in his life and what he does for others. So anyway, I'm good. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Joe. Derek.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor and members of the board. Just a quick few items. Just to let the residents know, Township Hall will be closed November 11th, 2024, which is not next Monday, but the following one. Our regularly scheduled board meeting for the 11th, because Township Hall is closed that day, will be rescheduled to the 6th of November. So that'll be actually next Wednesday. So just to let the residents know about that, regular time. We would have normally rescheduled it for the 13th of November, but the US EPA will be having their annual meeting here with regards to areas of concern at the old Naval Air Station base. So that public meeting will be taking place from 6 till 8. They'll be utilizing this room. So once again, the next board meeting will be on the 6th of November. With that concludes my report. Happy Halloween on Thursday. Watch out for all the kids that are going to be running around and visiting homes, so be careful driving. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. Quickly, next DDA meeting is November 20th, moved from the normal date because of Thanksgiving. I did want to mention for our seniors 60 and older that Senior Alliance has a senior transportation program, and the way it differs, because we have a senior transportation program out of the rec department. The way this differs is that they go out of across municipalities and even counties to get you to where you want to go. You have to be 60 years or older. Their telephone number is 734-722-2830 to arrange a ride, and I will get this up on our website so that it will be there if you need it. Last time, at our last meeting, a question came up about DTE and the batteries and how we were preparing, or how they were preparing is a better way to say it, and what was going on. I did reach out to DTE. They have been in contact primarily with Trenton, and they have a plan. They have reached out to Grosse. Grosse has been in on the chain. I don't believe Grosse showed up to the meetings, but they have been included in all the what's been going back and forth, so our fire department knows about it also. And with that, I would also just want to say, don't forget, next Tuesday, November 5th, get out and vote. And we should have an interesting meeting on November 6th. And with that, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. Thank you for coming, and thank you for watching.